What's going on YouTube? It's Teej, back again with another video. And today, we're talking about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in our season preview series, and hopefully you will enjoy today's video. And if you do, seriously, it would help me out a ton. It would allow new people to be able to see this channel, so hit that like button if you do enjoy today's video. If you're new around here, want to see more football content, just hit that big red subscribe button. Tell me what you think about the Bucs down below in the comment section. You know, how big of a return is Tom Brady? Are you concerned about this little vacation? Or how many wins do you think they come away with? Who are some X factors and some games you're looking forward to watching this team play? I'd love to have your thoughts, and I respond to just about every comment. So let's talk about the Bucs down in the comments section. New to this series, we're getting close to the end, so be sure to go back out and check out the videos we've already done. Maybe your favorite team is in there, or you just want to talk more football with us. We'd love to have you. But let's start by talking about win range, projected win total, and then I'll go position group by position group so you get a feel for where I stand on this roster. But all in all, I think it might be the best roster in the league, and probably the best in the NFC. So yeah, this team is really good. 12 to 15 wins, like 12-5 would honestly be a little bit of a head scratcher for me. It might even open up the door a little bit for the Saints, but 12-5 all the same would be such an awesome record for the Bucs. And then, I have them at 15-2. I'll probably update that and take it down to 14-3 in my updated, record prediction video. But that being said, one of the best teams in the NFL. Need I say more? Won the Super Bowl a couple years ago. Game away from getting back last year or so. Yeah, this team should be looking to win at least 12 games this year. So, Tom Brady obviously coming back, huge plus. I'm not really worried about this vacation. Looked pretty sharp in the last preseason game he played, throwing some dimes, throwing some zip passes. So I'm not really worried about it. He's the GOAT. So have we not learned about doubting Tom Brady over the last decade? Yeah, it's just not something you should do. It's not good for your diet. So then moving on to the running back position, Rachaad White's kind of an interesting addition to the mix, but Leonard Fournette was really, really good last year, specifically as a pass catcher. But if that skill, evaporates for whatever reason, Rachaad White, rookie out of Arizona State, I think that is the best skill set he brings to the table. So got a really nice duo, and Rachaad White is a pass catcher. Think about, James White with Brady for so long. That could be a really nice duo, and maybe a sleeper, PPR running back draft and stash or late midseason pickup or something like that. So then we get to the wide receivers, and dude, they're loaded. I mean, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Julio Jones, Russell Gage, Tyler Johnson, Scotty Miller. I mean, legitimately, wide receivers 4 through 7, which, to me, I think Russell Gage is going to be the guy who's in the slot, but Julio, Tyler Johnson, and Scotty Miller, Green Bay would do just about anything to have those 3 on their roster right now. So, yeah, I'd say it's a pretty darn good, wide receiver position they find themselves in. Cam Brate's fine at tight end, but man, it's going to be fun to see. And what does Julio Jones add into the mix there? So a lot of reports saying he looks as good as ever, which that's training camp talk if I've ever heard it. So I need to see it on the field, but does he have any gas or anything left in the tank? And can Brady be the guy to bring it out of him? It'll be fun to watch. Switching over to the defense, getting an Akeem Hicks feels like such a subtle move, but considering Ndamukong Suh is getting to the point where in his career where it's probably best for him to play, instead of 800 snaps a year, maybe just like 400 to 500, and look great against the Rams in that postseason game, the last game the Bucs played last year. But that's about all Suh can really do nowadays. Just like find a game or so every once in a while and just turn it on to another gear. I think Akeem Hicks still has some good football, and I think you'll get more consistent pass rush out of him while also still keeping that high-level run defender. And, of course, playing next to Vita Vea, awesome. William Golston there has been a nice piece of this Bucs defense, kind of overlooked because of other talent, but he's played his role really well. Shaq Barrett and then Joe Tryon and Troyinka we'll talk about later on, but that's going to be a really important duo. Shaq Barrett, one of the best edge rushers in football, in my opinion. Maybe not top of the top, but, maybe a half step or a tier below, but still really damn good. Linebacking core, Devin White, Levante David, teams have been trying to replicate that type of duo. So, yeah, you got something special there. And then, in the safety position, you lose a Jordan Whitehead, but you get a Logan Ryan. That's just, what a smart move there. And a Keanu Neal in a spot where he doesn't need to be starting, so his injury concerns aren't like the end of the world if he does get hurt. But behind an Antoine Winfield Jr. and, again, Logan Ryan still there, Mike Edwards, that's a really nice safety rotation to have working there. And, again, this is a team that utilizes 3 safeties a ton. So to keep depth there is big for this defense and Todd Bowles in specific. And then the corners. It's going to be interesting to see what they do with free agency next year. Sean Murphy-Bunting and Jamel Dean being free agents, but get the extension for Carlton Davis. To me, he's the most talented of the bunch. He's the CB1. But Jamel Dean filling in for the other 2 when they got hurt was really impressive. And, if it comes down to him or Sean Murphy-Bunting to re-sign, I think I might be leaning Dean there. But, again, we'll talk about Sean Murphy-Bunting a little bit later on in this video. So, clearly, I get a sense that I like this roster. And also, Byron Leftwich is an OC. like that. Todd Bowles still going to be the defensive play caller, but now the head coach. Another chance for him. I'm hopeful that, this time around it goes a little smoother, but really excited about, what this team is going to be able to do this year, because the talent for the most part is right back there, and then the majority of the coaching staff staying the same as well. So lots to like about the Bucs, and that leads me into my realistic goal: win the division. I mean, they're a pretty heavy favorite, so it feels like a safe place to start, and that means you get to host a playoff game, so that would be beneficial, especially considering, you kind of want to play in Tampa, later and later in the year, and Brady's got plenty of experience playing in the cold in December, January onward, but if you could, stay in the warm conditions, it makes the offense that much more efficient, at least in my eyes. And then the reach goal, win your third Super Bowl in franchise history, right? Like, they were there and they won it 2 years ago. They were a game away from getting the Super Bowl last year. There's a couple handful of teams in the NFL, in my opinion, that wouldn't surprise me if they're hoisting the Lombardi, and of course the Bucs have got to be that. And if this is Tom Brady's last year, that storyline has already been written. Like, that feels like it might. I don't want to say it's not set in stone or anything like that, but at the end of the year, if Brady hangs it up and he ends his career as the Super Bowl champion, I mean, what more fitting send off for, again, the most accomplished player in the sport? So feels like, it feels like the story might have to write itself there. But yeah, Super Bowl should totally be what this team is gunning for. Getting to X Factors here, these are not superstars for the most part. And I'm pretty high on Sean Murphy-Bunting, actually. But that being said, these are 50-50 propositions where if these guys, exceed previous levels of play or exceed expectations, the Bucs are that much more legit. Or if they fall short, it might create a crack in the armor, so to speak, and open up a chance for the Bucs to, not get back to the Super Bowl. And that might create the opening for another team to take down Tampa Bay. So Luke Gedeke, this team's had a ton of interior offensive line issues throughout this offseason. So Gedeke is stepping into a spot where, I liked him a lot coming into Central Michigan. Him and Bernard Ryman, really good athletes and, really good grades, the college level and Pro Football Focus numbers. So I'm optimistic he'll be able to hit the ground running. But that being said, it is a question mark. You're starting a day 2 rookie right away. So there is going to be a little bit of a hesitation. You got to see it on the field. But if he hits, then okay, yep, we're right back where we were. Because I think Robert Hainsey can be a serviceable center filling in for Ryan Jensen this year. And then you got Shaq Mason for a 5th. And that was just an absolute steal. Sorry, I didn't talk about the offensive line earlier. But tackles are pretty good. Tristan Wirfs a stud, and then the interior offensive line here with Gedeke. If he takes that step forward, then this unit I think is good enough. So then moving on to Joe Tryon-Shoyinka. I mean, this is such an interesting one. Former first-round pick going into year 2, and even early on last year, you start to see some flashes. Had a pretty good game against Dallas and Atlanta to start the year. But then got kind of quiet until a pretty nice showing week 15 against New Orleans. But all in all, a bit of a down year there for Joe Tryon-Shoyinka. Overall grade, right around 52. Pass rush grade in the upper 50s, but for a first-round pick, you're expecting a little bit more, and his impact could do so much more to make Shaq Barrett that much more lethal. Like I said earlier, I don't think of him as a Bosa or, Myles Garrett, TJ Watt type of dude, but if you had a legit guy on the other side that, prevents teams from doubles against Barrett and chipping him on their way out, makes him that much more potent, and maybe he becomes, again, once upon a time, a guy who led the league in sacks. I'm not saying he's my front runner for that, but if Joe Tryon-Shoyinka takes a step forward, it certainly opens up more opportunities for Shaq Barrett to have one-on-ones and potentially get back into that, top of the NFL sack leader conversation. So it's one of these guys where, one, you're a first-round pick. We're going to need to see you get a little bit better here, but also what it does to potentially open up Shaq Barrett is hugely impactful, because that's the one area where last year the Bucs, sometimes that pass rush was a little hit and miss, and they went a little quiet, and especially as the team was dealing with some corner issues and health concerns, that's where you started to see the Bucs defense become a little bit weaker than where it was, obviously, when it won a Super Bowl. But if Shaq Barrett, Joe Tryon-Shoyinka are a legitimate duo with the talent in the secondary, if it stays healthy, I mean, it's as good a defense there is in the NFL. And the last X factor is Sean Murphy-Bunting. His best year of Pro Football Focus grading was his rookie year in 2019, and since then it's actually been steps down from a 66.2 to just under a 60 to a little over a 56. So I just want to see him get back on track. He had a pretty even split last year of playing in the nickel and out wide. And again, part of that's, Carlton Davis goes down in week 1, and then Jamel Dean, he was out there for a majority of the year, but Dean did go down with injury, so that forces Bunting to play outside. So ideally, I like this guy as a nickel corner. And again, that's part of why if the conversation comes up, Dean or Sean Murphy-Bunting, I think I'd lean Dean just because a little bit better, I think, on the outside and has a little bit more athleticism, long speed and specific. But that to be said, Sean Murphy-Bunting's, former top 40 pick out of Central Michigan. So there's high expectations, and this is a huge year for him, not only for what it means for the Bucs, but for him, his bag, his money, you know what I'm saying? So last year of a rookie contract, can he show out? If he does, it works wonders for the Bucs, because then you're talking about 3 deep at corner with great safeties, potentially a really nice pass rush. again, one of the best defenses in football, but also it bodes well for him because the Bucs are not going to be able to keep everybody. So if they keep Dean, money bags to SMB wherever he goes in free agency. But can he take that step forward? Can he get back to at least where he was his rookie year? That would mean a lot for Tampa Bay as they, again, try to go get that third Super Bowl. Then games to watch. No division games here, obviously. Specifically, anytime they play the Saints, that's a game to watch because for whatever reason, Tom Brady and the Bucs in the regular season just cannot get past Dennis Allen and the Saints. But week 3 against Green Bay, and I'll kind of go ahead and get this off the top. Packers, Rams, 49ers, obviously tons of NFC playoff implications. But, the Packers, what does that wide receiver room look like early? I think it's going to take some time for Green Bay, but this is where, like, if Romeo Doubs is not, impactful right away, or if Sammy Watkins and Aaron Rodgers aren't on the same page with that secondary for Tampa, might be a long day for the Packers. And then on the other side, the Green Bay defense is one of the best in the NFL, and specifically, their secondary is insane. So, talking about Jair Alexander versus Mike Evans. Need I say more? Chris Godwin versus a really impressive second-year player, Eric Stokes, or Rasul Douglas coming off a career. Those safeties, how big of an impact? And of course, Tom Brady, at the center of it versus that defense. So there's so much intrigue there between one of the best offenses and one of the best defenses in the NFL. And again, postseason implications. Then week 9 against the Rams. Interior of the offensive line for the Bucs had struggled, and now they go against the best defensive player in football, Aaron Donald. Could he take this game over by himself? If not, if the Bucs can keep him, contained for the most part, okay, that's a huge step in the right direction. Also, Jalen Ramsey, Mike Evans, that is always a must-see matchup. But to that point, if you contain Aaron Donald, Chris Godwin, I feel like can run free in this game because I'm concerned about that number 2 corner spot. Yes, it's a zone heavy, a lot of cover for Raheem Morris, continuing that Brandon Staley, construction of that defense. But that being said, someone's got to check Chris Godwin. But also early on, week 3 last year, the Bucs lose the Rams in the regular season, lose to them again in the postseason. So there's a revenge element in here as well, which makes that game really fun. Week 14 against the 49ers, the most unfair rushing attack with Shanahan and his scheme with, the interior offensive line's not great in San Francisco, but the tackles, Trent Williams in specific, great for that offense. And, Elijah Mitchell, I really like at the running back spot versus potentially the best run defense in the NFL, specifically with Vita Vea there in the middle. So, that zone getting out wide. This is a game where George Tryon-Shinka, that is, and Shaq Barrett have got to be able to set the edge. So that's an interesting wrinkle. But Devin White, Levante David, how big of an impact can they have on stopping that rushing attack? And if you do take away that running game, Trey Lance is going to have to win this game on his own for San Francisco. And if you're Tampa Bay, I think that roll of dice. Sure, yes, there's going to be weeks where Trey Lance is insane. He has the upside, and it's fully on display. And it's like, okay, well, that's how it's going to be. That's how it's going to be. But you could also get the Trey Lance side of the proposition where no touchdowns, 3 picks, or something like that. And he's just making poor decisions left, right, and center. And the Bucs blow out the 49ers. And that's a huge statement, especially if that were to happen in week 14. That would be like, oh, dude, Bucs are on the way to the Super Bowl. Like, the rhetoric that would build up after that game would be hugely positive for Tampa Bay. So, fun matchup there. I'm not saying that's necessarily how I anticipate it going, but a lot of interesting strength versus weaknesses in that game, and even strength on strengths with the rushing attack of San Francisco and the rush defense for Tampa. But those are my games to watch, and that is going to do it for my Buccaneers season preview video. Tell me what you think about Tampa Bay down below in the comments section. Do you think they can get back to the Super Bowl? Are they your pick to win the Super Bowl? How many wins do you think the Bucs get? Who are some X factors and some games you're looking forward to watching Tampa Bay play this year? Love to have your thoughts. I respond to just about every comment, so let me hear your take on the Bucs in the comments section. Hopefully you all enjoyed today's video. If you did, be sure to hit that like button. It would help me out a ton. If you're new around here, want to see more football content like what you saw today, just hit that big red subscribe button. That's going to do it for me. Hope you all have a fantastic rest of your day. And until next time, my name is Tej. I'm signing off.